Okay, so you're gearing up for 2026, and you know that picking the right development partner, well, it's one of the biggest calls you're going to make. Get it right, and you get a smooth launch. Get it wrong, you could be drowning in technical debt. So, in this explainer, we're going to give you the strategic playbook for finding that perfect Java partner. Here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll talk about why Java is still such a powerhouse. Then we'll dive into a really practical 9-point checklist for hiring. After that, we'll introduce you to some of the top companies out there. And finally, we'll walk through how to make that final call. Sound good? Let's jump in. All right, first things first. Why are we even talking about Java in 2026? I mean, with all the shiny new languages popping up, you might wonder if it's still relevant. Well, the answer is a huge yes, especially when you're playing in the big leagues. Just think about this number for a second. A whopping 90% of Fortune 500 companies are running on Java. And listen, we're not talking about some dusty old legacy code. They're actively building new, absolutely mission-critical systems with it. It's basically the backbone of global business. And it's not just the corporate giants either. The developer community is still all in. Data from Statista in 2025 showed that almost a third of all developers on the planet use Java. Now, what does that tell you? It means there's a massive, active talent pool, and the language is constantly evolving, not fading out. So what's the secret sauce? Why does it have this incredible staying power? Well, this quote really hits the nail on the head. It's all about reliability. When you're building something that absolutely has to be secure, scalable, and stable for years, Java is the proven, dependable workhorse you can count on. Okay, so we've settled the why Java is still so critical. Now, let's get into the how. As in, how do you actually find the right team to build with? This next part is all about practical steps you can take. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The wrong partner can mean missed deadlines, blown budgets, and a final product that just doesn't deliver. To make sure that doesn't happen, our source gives us a brilliant framework to work with, a 9-point checklist to guide you. Now, the full list from the source has 9 key points, but we've bundled them into these 4 main areas to make it a bit easier to digest. You need to look at their technical chops, their actual experience and portfolio, how their team is structured, and how they communicate. And then you get into the nitty-gritty, their engagement models, quality assurance, security, and of course, post-launch support. Let's start with that first one. Look, this isn't about just knowing Java anymore. A top-tier partner in 2026 has to be fluent in the whole modern ecosystem. Are they masters of Spring Boot for building things fast? Do they live and breathe microservices for creating apps that can actually scale? And can they handle deploying on major clouds like AWS or Azure? This is the tech stack that separates future-proof software from the rest. So now that we have our checklist, let's put it to work. We're going to look at a few of the top companies our source material mentions, not as a recommendation, but more like case studies. This way, you can see how to use the checklist to really analyze your options. Right off the bat, you can see some pretty big differences. You've got companies with anywhere from 16 to over 30 years of experience. And the team sizes? They're all over the map, from a couple hundred people to literally thousands. This is your first clue. Are you looking for a smaller, more focused team, or do you need a global army of engineers? Those high clutch ratings, though, they tell you that these guys consistently deliver. Let's zoom in on Orange Mantra. They've got over 2 decades under their belt. And look at that client list. IKEA, Nestle. These are massive global brands. So what can you guess from that? Probably that they're rock solid when it comes to building large-scale enterprise solutions for big consumer companies. They seem like a great fit for an established brand that needs a reliable partner for a major new project. Now let's compare that to Bears Dev. Their team is huge, over 2,500 people, and their clients are straight out of Silicon Valley, Google, Adobe. So what does that tell you? It screams expertise in high-volume backends, complex APIs, and projects that need serious horsepower and cutting-edge tech. This is who a fast-moving, digital-first company would probably turn to. Seeing the top players is helpful, but at the end of the day, this all comes back to what you need. So for this last section, let's nail down the final few pieces of the puzzle that will help you lock in that decision. All right, one of the biggest choices you'll make is the engagement model. This was point 6 on our checklist. With a dedicated team, you're basically handing over the keys to the project and its management. That's perfect if you're building something brand new from the ground up. But with staff augmentation, you're picking individual developers to plug right into your own team. The right choice here really depends on your project and what kind of resources you already have in-house. Let's just double-click on staff augmentation for a sec. The best way to think of it is as a super flexible way to fill a skill gap or quickly scale up your team, but without the long-term cost of hiring someone full-time. You get top-tier talent, and they report directly to your own managers. It's all about adding firepower with surgical precision. So, before you sign on the dotted line, let's do a final check on the last few points from our list. First, quality assurance. You have to ask, what does their code review and testing process look like? Next up, communication. This is a big one. Can they actually work in your time zone without friction? And finally, post-launch support. What happens after the project goes live? A great partner will have a clear plan. Don't let these details slide. And that's what it all comes down to, right? The best partner isn't just a team of amazing coders. They're strategic partners who actually get what you're trying to do as a business. So as you go through this process, keep asking yourself this one question. Because you're not just buying some code for today, you are architecting the very foundation of your company's future.